On a chilly afternoon in New York, 17-year-old Marcus stood behind the counter at Brewhaven, a small, cozy cafe nestled in the heart of Harlem. The rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee mixed with the soft sounds of jazz music in the background, creating a calm and inviting atmosphere. For Marcus, this cafe was more than just a job. After his father passed away, his mother had to raise him and his two younger siblings on her own. Working here part-time after school helped Marcus contribute to the family while also staying on top of his studies. The day was quiet, with fewer customers than usual. As Marcus wiped down the tables and kept the cafe spotless, he occasionally glanced at the clock, eagerly waiting for his shift to end so he could head home and study for an upcoming exam. Suddenly, the bell above the door jingled, breaking the silence. Marcus looked up to see a tall young man walk in, accompanied by two bodyguards who scanned the room briefly before taking a seat. The young man's face was instantly recognizable. It was Barron Trump, the son of a former U.S. president. Marcus froze for a moment, feeling a wave of nervous energy. He never expected someone so famous to visit the cafe. Quickly regaining his composure, Marcus approached the table where Barron had seated himself, offering a polite smile and taking his order pad. "Good afternoon, what can I get for you today?" Marcus asked, his voice steady despite the surprise. Barron looked up, offering a soft smile in return. "I'll have a cappuccino and a blueberry muffin, please. Thank you." As Marcus made his way back to the counter, he couldn't help but steal glances at Barron. Unlike most customers who were glued to their phones or laptops, Barron sat quietly, staring out the window with a thoughtful expression, as if lost in his own world. When Marcus brought over the cappuccino and muffin, he placed them gently on the table. "Here you go. Let me know if you need anything else," he said. Barron smiled again, his eyes warm. "Thank you, Marcus." As Marcus returned to his duties behind the counter, he felt a strange sense of calm from the interaction. It wasn't every day that a figure like Barron Trump came into the cafe, and there was something different about him, something genuine that intrigued Marcus. Little did Marcus know this ordinary afternoon would become a moment that would change his life forever. After finishing his meal, Barron began to gather his things. Marcus watched as Barron picked up the receipt, scribbled something on the back, and folded it carefully before placing it under his empty cup. With a quiet movement, Barron stood, putting on his coat and preparing to leave. As he passed by the counter, Barron briefly made eye contact with Marcus, offering a genuine smile. "Thank you for the service, Marcus." "You're doing great," Barron said, his voice calm but sincere. "You're welcome," Marcus replied, trying to hide the surge of curiosity he felt. He couldn't help but wonder what Barron had written on the back of the receipt. As soon as Barron left with his bodyguards, Marcus moved quickly to clear the table. He picked up the cup and saw the folded receipt underneath. His heart raced as he unfolded it, revealing a handwritten note. The words written were simple yet powerful. "Your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. I know what it feels like to struggle. Don't give up, better days are ahead." The note read in neat handwriting. Marcus stood frozen for a moment, his eyes fixed on the note. The words felt like they were speaking directly to him, understanding his struggles and acknowledging his efforts. His hand trembled as he folded the note and carefully tucked it into his pocket. As the rest of his shift passed by, Marcus felt a sense of lightness he had never felt before. The weight of his daily challenges seemed to lessen, and for the first time in a long while, he felt seen. The next morning, Marcus woke up to the usual sounds of the city and the soft rays of the early morning sun sneaking through the curtains. But as he reached for his phone, it buzzed incessantly with notifications. Confused, Marcus opened his phone to see dozens of messages and social media alerts. "Marcus, is this you in the article?" One message read, "This is incredible. What an inspiring story." One link led to a local news article with the headline, "Former President's Son Leaves Heartfelt Note and Generous Tip for Teen Server in Harlem." The story had gone viral, and the entire nation was talking about it. Marcus's heart raced as he scrolled through the article and the hundreds of comments. People were praising both Barron Trump's kindness and Marcus's hard work. "This is exactly what the world needs more of. Acts of kindness," one comment read. "Marcus is truly an inspiration. I hope he gets all the blessings he deserves," another said. Marcus sat there in shock, not quite understanding how something so personal had exploded into such a public sensation. His mother walked into the room, concern on her face when she saw the phone in his hand, and the look of disbelief on his face. "What's wrong, Marcus?" she asked, scanning his face. Without a word, Marcus handed her his phone, letting her read the article. As she read, her eyes widened, and when she reached the end, she placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "I'm so proud of you, son," she said. "You deserve this recognition." But Marcus didn't feel quite comfortable with all the attention. It was overwhelming, and he just wanted to continue his life without all the eyes on him. Later that day, Marcus returned to Hope Brew, but everything had changed. As soon as he entered, his coworkers greeted him with excited smiles, their eyes filled with admiration. "Marcus, you're a hero now," one of his coworkers, Jason, said, clapping him on the back. "You've got the whole city talking about you." Marcus forced a small smile, feeling his face flush under the attention. He wasn't used to being in the spotlight. The cafe felt different that day. A few regulars glanced his way, whispering excitedly among themselves. Marcus couldn't help but feel uncomfortable with the sudden shift in atmosphere. Later that afternoon, Marcus's manager, Linda, approached him holding a copy of the local newspaper. "Marcus, have you seen this?" she asked, her voice filled with excitement. Marcus nodded. "Yeah, I've seen it," he said, his voice low. He didn't know how to feel about all this attention. "You should be proud. Not everyone gets this kind of recognition," Linda said, giving him an encouraging smile. "People are inspired by your story." As Marcus tried to absorb the overwhelming amount of attention, a group of reporters appeared outside the cafe, cameras in hand, microphones ready. The media was now clamoring for his story. Marcus felt a knot form in his stomach. He wasn't ready to face the media. "Marcus, you don't have to talk to them if you don't want to," Linda said, noticing the anxious look on his face. "But this could be a chance to inspire others." After a long pause, Marcus sighed deeply and looked at Linda. "Okay, I'll give it a try," he said, his voice shaky. The interview was short but intense. The reporter asked Marcus about his feelings when he first received Barron Trump note. Marcus sat at a table in the cafe, under the harsh lights of the camera, doing his best to answer. "I was really surprised," Marcus said, his hands trembling slightly. "I never thought someone like him would notice me, let alone leave me such a kind message. It meant a lot." The reporter nodded, her eyes focused on Marcus. "Why do you think your story has resonated with so many people?" she asked, her voice soft. Marcus thought for a moment. "I think people just need to hear stories like this," he said. "It's easy to get caught up in everything that's going wrong, but sometimes a small act of kindness can change everything." By the time the interview was over, Marcus felt exhausted but relieved. It wasn't as bad as he had feared, and he had been able to speak from the heart. The story of his meeting with Barron continued to spread like wildfire, with countless people reaching out to offer support, encouragement, and even donations. Marcus had never expected any of this, and at first it felt like too much. But as the days went on, he started to realize just how much of an impact his story had made. As the days passed, Marcus found himself overwhelmed by the constant stream of messages and the public attention. Everywhere he went, people recognized him. At first, it felt like too much. He was just a teenager trying to help his family, and now his story was everywhere. Marcus wasn't sure how to handle the sudden fame, yet as the support continued to pour in, Marcus began to feel a sense of pride. He hadn't realized how much his story could inspire others. The cafe became a symbol of hope in Harlem. People came from all over the city, eager to meet the young man who had captured the nation's attention. Customers came with gifts, like new shoes, books, and handwritten notes filled with encouragement. Some even left small donations, hoping to help Marcus pursue his dreams. One morning, an elderly man walked into the cafe, his face wrinkled with age but his eyes full of kindness. He approached Marcus with a small envelope. "Son," he said, his voice soft, "you remind me of myself when I was your age. Keep going and don't stop." Marcus opened the envelope later that day, and inside was a check for $1,000, along with a note that read, "Use this to pursue your dreams." Marcus's hands trembled as he looked at the check. The gesture was overwhelming, and all he could do was smile and thank the man. That moment became a turning point for Marcus. As the story continued to spread, he received even more encouragement, and people reached out from all over the world. Marcus received a heartfelt email from Barron, the young man who had started it all. Barron expressed his pride in Marcus and offered further encouragement. Marcus, the email began, I've been following your story, and I'm so proud of you. You've made my words truly meaningful. Keep spreading that positivity. It's inspiring. I believe brighter days are ahead for you. Marcus felt a deep sense of gratitude as he read the email. He realized that despite their different backgrounds, Barron had seen and appreciated his hard work and dedication. He printed out the email and placed it next to the note Barron had left at the cafe. Both messages became cherished reminders of a life-changing moment. The ripple effects of Marcus's story extended beyond his own life. Local businesses in Harlem saw an increase in customers, and many nonprofit organizations used the momentum to host fundraisers and offer scholarships to young people in need. Marcus was invited to speak at several events, sharing his journey and motivating others to keep pushing through their own challenges. One evening, Marcus stood on a stage in front of a packed auditorium. The spotlight shone on him, and the audience waited eagerly for his words. I never thought I would be standing here, sharing my story with all of you, Marcus began, his voice steady. I'm just a teenager trying to help my family and do my best. But that note, that message, it reminded me that even when you feel invisible, someone notices you. Someone values what you do. The crowd erupted into applause, and Marcus felt a surge of pride and gratitude. His story, once a personal journey, had now become a beacon of hope for so many. Over the next few years, Marcus continued to stay grounded, despite his newfound recognition. He worked tirelessly to keep pushing forward, always remembering the lesson Barron had taught him. Small acts of kindness can lead to big changes. After enrolling in a computer science program at a community college, Marcus focused on his studies, determined to create apps that would make a real difference in his community. One day, as Marcus sat in a cafe near his college, he reflected on how far he had come. He thought about the long, difficult days back at Hope Brew, serving coffee, and wondering if he would ever make it out of his circumstances. But now here he was, on the brink of his dream, with a growing sense of purpose and fulfillment. His hard work was finally paying off. One afternoon, while walking down the street, Marcus received a phone call that would change everything. It was from a well-known tech company that had seen his work and wanted to offer him an internship. We've been following your journey, Marcus, the voice on the other end of the line said. We believe you have great potential, and we'd love to bring you on board. Tears welled up in Marcus's eyes as he realized this was the moment he had worked for. The opportunity was everything he had dreamed of, and it all started with a simple act of kindness from a stranger. Thank you so much, Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. I won't let you down. A few months later, Marcus began his internship at the tech company. His hard work, determination, and willingness to learn quickly made him a standout. He was no longer the young man struggling to make ends meet at Hope Brew. He was becoming a professional, shaping his future one step at a time. His story, once shared only by a small community in Harlem, had now become an inspiration to thousands across the country. As he sat at his desk in the company's office, looking at the framed note from Barron, Marcus felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. He knew he had come a long way, but he also knew that this was just the beginning. The kindness of one individual had changed his life, and now Marcus was determined to pay it forward. He began volunteering at local schools, offering mentorship to young people who reminded him of himself. Never forget where you came from, Marcus would tell the students he mentored. Every step you take can lead to something greater than you ever imagined. Years later, Marcus stood in front of a packed auditorium once again, but this time he wasn't the shy, nervous teenager who had been surprised by kindness. He was a confident young man who had learned that one small gesture can truly change the course of a life. It all started with a simple note, Marcus began, a smile on his face, and it has made all the difference in my life. Kindness is powerful, never underestimate it. The audience gave him a standing ovation, and Marcus knew, without a doubt, that the ripple effect of that one small act of kindness would continue to inspire generations to come.